Dolphins offense went wild against the Jets, even without Tyreek Hill in this game. Obviously, the headliner was Mostert because he had the 2 touchdowns, 15 carries, 42 yards. Most importantly was those 2 scores as we show you the touchdown leaders through Week 16. As you said it, Jay, there's Mostert at the top with Run CMC, each with 20. And what's amazing is the tier after them in Jalen Hurts and Tyreek Hill, they have 12. These 2 guys are so far away from the pack.
Well, the next running back as well is even further down with 11, with Gus Edwards, and then Kyron Williams, 11, who's missed a large chunk of the season. So I think this was a great performance from Miami. One, to do this against the Jets defense, and keen for your thoughts on how that happened, Connor. And then also to do it with a banged up offensive line, no Tyreek Hill. There were a lot of Tua, and I think they were becoming some Mike McDaniel skeptics as well. Like, does he just beat up on bad teams? Yeah. How much of it is just Tyreek Hill? So for them to have this performance where they really dominated from the start was really impressive. But like, what happened to the Jets defense?
The Jets didn't get off the plane, bus, whatever you want to call it. They looked flat. They looked lifeless. It looked like this team quit, quite frankly. And you know, the other thing with Waddle going off, you knew going into the game he was going to be the guy in the pass game. The Jets don't travel their corners. Sauce Gardner barely saw any of Jaylen Waddle, and DJ Reed had a really, really bad game. So at the end of the day, brutal for the Jets defense, but like you said, a confidence builder for Tua here, Matthew, that he got it done without what a lot of people deem as maybe the most valuable player.
Yeah,
in the
not
league.
A great fantasy day for Tua. He was on the hate list coming into the week, and that ended up working out. But coming into the game, we didn't know would Tyreek Hill go or not. We thought he might. And then he didn't. He's ruled out. Reports after the game were like he wasn't even close this week. They do expect him back this week, which is good. But it didn't matter. It ended up, Zach Wilson gets sacked, fumbles. They get the ball like on the 3-yard line. Mostert converts the bunny touchdown there. But just specifically to Mostert here, not only has he been amazing this entire year, but specifically heading into the playoffs and then in the first round of the playoffs, multiple touchdowns in 3 of the past 4 games as well. I think this is a crazy stat on Mostert. Coming into this year, he had 19 career touchdowns. For his career, 19 touchdowns. He's got 20 this season. Just to show what a magical season it has been for him as well. And then, I don't know that there's much else to take away. Devon Achane didn't really get going. Looked fine. They didn't need to. That was the problem. No. Is just the Jets were so anemic offensively that the Dolphins didn't really have to do much. It was nice to see Jaylen Waddle, who heads into Monday Night Football as the second best wide receiver in fantasy. He's now had a 32% target share in 2 of the last 3 games, and he's just killed the Jets. 16 for 256 and a touchdown in the 2 games against New York this season as well. This was his season high in both fantasy points and receiving yards. It could not have come at a better moment there as you see the most awkward Waddle in NFL history. Stephen Ross, his wife, and some
He actually sold the team after that. He was forced to sell the team by
fair.
the Supreme Court justices.
Yes, it was disgusting.
Yeah, he should have been forced to. Yeah,
I think it's huge for Jaylen Waddle, just the fact that, this year, and Connor and I were talking about this in the makeup room, as we do have so many good chats, I believe on Friday, about how Waddle has been really disappointing this season. Yeah. But last year he had 6 games of 100+ receiving yards. Coming into this game, he'd had 2 for the year. Now this is his 3rd, and I think just a game like this, it dispels any notion that he's hurt or there's something wrong with him. And now I think those guys, because we expect Tyreek back next week, those guys are going to cook Dallas. I don't think Deron Bland and Stephon Gilmore, with the speed of those 2, I think they're in trouble, Dallas.
By the way, games in Miami as well, so Dallas is going to have to travel as well. And we're going to get to this game in a little bit here, but they got, they got rolled by Buffalo. They got, dump trucked. Whatever, pick your adjective, pick your verb.
Hoofed.
Hoofed. They got hoofed.
Yeah, they got hoofed out of the stadium.
They got hoofed out of the stadium. They absolutely did by the Buffalo Bills. It makes sense. They were hoofed multiple times. And so you think about what James Cook did to the Cowboys, and now here comes Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, and the Dolphins that should have Tyreek Hill back. Things are looking up in Finland, as it were. Things are looking down.
As opposed to Helsinki, the Dolphins, Finland, correct.
Dolphins.
Finland.
I haven't heard Finland before. Yeah, should they drape themselves in Finnish flags? That's not bad, actually.
That's something like, also just I'm thinking, I'm a Buffett guy, so fins up, fins to the left. Whatever, the Dolphins.
Maybe Tua comes in with a Laurie Markkinen jersey. You won't get that reference, but he's a Finnish basketball player.
I assumed he was, some sort of Finnish descent.
Just with the Jets, expect Zach Wilson. He was injured and he may not play this coming week. I think everything just burns again. And I understand that they played the Commanders in a favorable matchup, so you probably have to start Garrett Wilson, but you don't feel good about any Jet if it's the Trevor Siemian show.
The line, for as bad as it's been this year, this is the worst it's been. I mean, it didn't matter who was back there. Zach Wilson, this is one where you really felt bad for him. He got rocked in the head on that strip sack on one of the first plays for them. I mean, then he played a little bit, and then he came out for dehydration, and then they're like, actually, he's concussed.
Wasn't there a wrist? There was a wrist as well at one
I
point.
mean, just some horrible
Dehydrated, he's got a wrist, he's concussed. He might be dead. We don't know.
Right, it really felt that
It
way.
really,
Yes.
Missing his favorite TV show.
right.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's past his bedtime.
You know what the best thing is, though, is that even with it potentially being the Trevor Siemian show, even with the line in the state.
Brett Rippon.
Brett Rippon show. Jets are 3-point favorites home to the Commanders.
There we go.
That's ridiculous.
There we go.
That is ridiculous.
No, honestly, being serious, I like the Commanders.
I was gonna say
I
me
like
too.
Commanders plus
Yeah,
3.
me too.
They at least
be a
have a
pick.
quarterback, whoever the quarterback's going to be. I presume it's Sam Howell. These things can throw the ball and do NFL stuff. Jets can't
should be
do
a pick
NFL
that game.
stuff on offense.
No, it's
Never underestimate Ron Rivera's ability to underprepare his team for a matchup.
No, that's not how it works. He over-prepares them. They win to screw themselves in draft position. That's how the story goes.
This is true. I mean, whatever. The Commanders for years and years and years have continually screwed themselves out of a good draft position. They should have had Joe Burrow. They should have had Joe Burrow. But the Dolphins, again, they beat the Dolphins, and that gives them the number 2 pick instead of the number 1, and they draft Chase Young instead of Joe Burrow.
He's on your Niners now.
Right, and now then they had to get rid of Chase Young for like a third and a fourth.
This is a movable object against a stoppable force on Christmas Eve. The Barry Rogers Bowl.
It really is.
What a disgrace.
I'm rooting for the Jets.
And I'm rooting for the Commanders.
Yeah, I know.
Like, this could decide where Marvin Harrison goes.
Yeah.
I'm serious here.
And no, I understand. Like,
Yeah.
what's at stake and Ron's fighting for his job, even though, like, Ron, you ain't coming back. Again, it's the holidays, and I feel, listen, and I do not celebrate anyone losing their job. It is awful because it affects families, it affects assistant coaches, it affects people inside the building, it affects kids. It sucks, right? It is the worst part of having a job like what Coach Rivera and other people in the NFL have, right? Or any sort of professional sports, is that the shelf life is short. And so that part stinks. I'm not celebrating that. Having said that, he's been a coach for 4 years. They've had a losing record every single year. They haven't gotten any better. In fact, they've gotten worse. If you look at what the offensive line was when Ron Rivera got there, that had Trent Williams, that had Brendan Scherf, that had like really, really good guys.
Yeah.
And now you look what their offensive line is. Like, it's objectively gotten worse over his tenure where he had in control of player personnel. Anyway, whatever. Go Jets.
Yeah, go
Please.
Commanders. Win one for Ron.
Man, it'll be
Win
like
for
who
Ron.
ca-
We'll start that hashtag on
At least in the Rogers-Berry Bowl, there won't be any Aaron Rodgers, it seems like. Is that we can finally put that to bed. I hope. I'm sure there'll be another report.
It's done.
No, he's going to practice. He'll practice this week. Please.
Limited on the practice report.
Yeah,
We love to
come
see
on.
it.
Are you kidding me? Like, they're going to keep bringing it up to game time as well. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.